So just close your eyes and allow your breath to be there naturally without controlling it, changing it, or making it any different than it would be just on its own. Let your breath do its thing. And as you watch your breath, and as you observe the subtle energies and blips and currents that are here underneath your skin, get a sense for how in this body you are. And just call yourself fully home to this place and time, to this temple that you are in. And allow yourself to bask in this soft quality of your breath, just doing its thing. Sense an undertone of peace. Peace in resting. Peace in being. Peace of mind. And peace of heart. For all that has come before this moment. Feeling the undercurrent of peace. And we know that that peace is there. Yet we may also feel some residue from moments in the past that still change our heart in a moment, if by memory or trigger. If by something inside of us unresolved. Matt Kahn says, as humans, we may tend to judge those we haven't learned from. Equally so, there's much to be learned from those being judged. While it doesn't have to be a lesson of agreement based on content of belief, value, choice, or perception, such lessons are always rooted in learning how to respect the innocence, divinity, and diversity of all. This teaching celebrates equality, inclusivity, and acceptance. It invites a greater depth of respect and diplomacy in both our casual and heated responses, even when others cloak in judgment, even when others reject as a way of hiding from fear or rejection, even when boundaries are employed, even when distance is required, and even when helping to deliver the unconscionable actions of others into the light of justice. While respect and diplomacy remain life's eternal peacekeeper, there is not one single issue that has been resolved on this planet, or any personal course correction from harming others to healing self that has occurred as a result of being judged or being judgmental. This ultimately means you may tend to judge until learning how much more helpful love can be. This occurs by loving yourself more, not less, no matter how confusing, inconsistent, abandoning, or abusive other people have been. When loving ourselves more, not less, we find renewed strength in the depths of hardship, inconceivable joy during uneventful moments, surges of inspiration even when all hope seems lost, and infinite power throughout every breath. From this space of self-love, there is no one to judge, nothing to deny, and everyone to serve with equality, maturity, and respect. So in this teaching that we feel and absorb into our peaceful body, mind, and heart, clearing the way for us to meet ourselves in this moment with this courageous love that can see through everything, no matter what it is. So may that love now be present within us as we begin our practice. So wherever you are right now, taking a deep, full, complete breath and fill up your lungs completely. Hold that breath at the top and relax your shoulders and really sit as you hold your breath. Sit in your seat, sit in your, or feel into the form that you're in. Some of you are still laying. Good, and then let this breath out slowly. And as you do, let it just fully empty. And then take another long, deep, slow breath again. Filling up the lungs. No stress needed as you feel, just fill to whatever capacity is comfortable for you. And this time, let out a soft sigh. Just let out your mouth, let your mouth open and let out a little. Let your body drop. And for those of you, just let your breath return to a little natural rhythm. And for those of you still laying, this is your cue, invitation to bring yourself up to a seated position so we can all begin from this next breath that we'll take together. And then just bring your thumbs right into the center near your breastbone and then connect your hands like you would for prayer. Anjali Mudra. So this is the mudra of reverence. Push your palms together at the center of your being and see if you can feel your palms pressing evenly towards your heart space, your fingers pressing each other, everything meeting at the center. Now take a nice long inhale again, fill up your lungs completely and allow that breath to suspend at the top. And just hold it in that suspension for a few seconds. And as soon as you feel this like burst forth of vocal energy that wants to come out, let out an even bigger sigh sound. So whatever is not peace, is not love, that can come out. Do that maybe 2 more times. Big breath in. Suspend it, suspend it, suspend it, almost as if you're lifting it up in prayer up to the heavens, as if you're giving it away to your angels, your guides, as if you're giving it up to love and peace. And then whatever's in the way of that, let it out. One more time. This time, let's use the sound of Om as our sound. Om. Release that breath. Release your hands to your lap and just close your eyes and pause for about a minute or two. Become aware of the sounds that you hear in your room. And let them be part of you. So it's as if you're removing any walls you have that say, that's not me. So let all the sounds be part of this beautiful now moment. And now allow yourself to focus on any smells that are in your room. So be aware of any judgments that might arise. May we neutralize ourselves in observing and experiencing those smells. We move away from good or bad, and we just include whatever's present. I am present with these smells. Now we also begin to move our awareness to our sense, what we feel on our skin. So it's the touch level. So although we may not be touching anyone, we may be touching something, like our clothes are touching our body. There might be air moving about in our room that we feel like that gentle breeze against us, maybe a window open. We also might sense the temperature of our skin or on our skin, maybe the brush of our hair against our face. So just again, encircling your awareness so that you're hugging and embracing the senses, this information coming in that's around you, that's part of this moment. And because we're keeping our eyes closed, our last sense is our taste sense. So become aware of any taste you have in your mouth. And you can slowly blink open your eyes and do yourself a favor before you go on to your mat. We're going to come to standing in a moment. Is just look around. And after having your eyes closed for some time, maybe colors and shapes might, come more to the surface. You might see a color you really love. You might see or pay attention to something you didn't notice before. So allow yourself to take in your surroundings and the shapes and colors around you. All right, let's come to standing. Let me push this back and see. Hopefully, I got this set up perfectly. All right. We'll come to standing mountain pose. It doesn't matter where you are on your mat, just somewhere on it, front, back, to the side. I'm going to switch my camera just a little bit up from here. There we go. So gather yourself at the front of your mat. And just take a look down at your feet. Let's separate our feet about hips distance to begin today. And kind of angle your feet so the toes are slightly in, so the outer edges of your feet are parallel with each other. And then take your shoulders up to your ears and then roll them back like exaggeratedly so you can squeeze your shoulder blades together. So just hold your shoulder blades together. You don't have to do it hard, but just pull them together. Your elbows are going to bend a little bit. Your hands might turn out. And just hug your lower belly in. And then rock a little bit from side to side, front to back, over your feet. And see if you can find that middle. Maybe make a little circle over your feet. Find the middle where your body weight easily rests into your feet, and then soften your knees, soften your hips, relax your arms, keeping your palms turning forward, and let your chest and shoulders kind of expand open. So the shoulder blades are still moving towards each other. You've just softened that squeeze. And then level your head so you feel where your head and neck is in space. Ears above the shoulders, shoulders above the hips, hips above the ankles. And just take note, is there more weight in the right or the left? Note, is one shoulder higher than the other? Just noticing where you are in relationship to the floor, to the sky, front and back. And then let's extend our arms up and overhead and see if the palms come together without us looking. So when you connect your hands together, the way your hands meet, don't correct it, okay? So when I bring my arms up on their own without looking, and I want to bring my hands together, what I notice when I bring my hands together is my right hand is slightly forward of my left. So notice what you notice when your hands come together without you looking. And then as you look up, make the correction in your hand. Okay. And then from there, just elongate feet to fingers. And then exhale, bring your prayer down the center line. And as you do, fold in half, hinging from the hips. Stop at the halfway point and then dangle your arms. So I'm kind of in like a monkey pose. My legs are straight. I'm going to lift my kneecaps so my quads will squeeze around my femur bones. And I'm just going to circle my arms here. And then circle them in the other direction. So letting your shoulders hang from their sockets and firming the legs. Good. Now we're going to make the arms work and the legs soften. So bring everything back to center. Bend your knees. Okay, so push your hips back, bend your knees, get bouncy in your knees so they're soft now. And then fold your belly over in between your thighs, your chest over your knees, and grab your big toes if you can, or place your hands underneath your feet for stand hands. Now just the arms now. So you're going to tuck your chin to your chest, push your feet into your hands, and still holding your feet or toes. Try to pull, feel that pull of your arms out of your
feet or off your feet. So you want to keep them, your feet connected and down. You want to keep your grip, but you're going to use that pushing of your legs to try to pull your arms away. Okay, so that's going to really bring some attention to your upper back, your inner belly. Take a breath or two. And then exhale, release. Turn your toes out. Fingertips to the floor and bend your knees, come into Malasana, squat pose. So you can do that on your tippy toes, or you can do that with your heels down, whatever your body's allowing right here early in the practice. Palms come together in front of you. Elbows come to the inside of the knees. Draw the thumbs towards your chest and push your knees into your elbows and your elbows into your knees. So let them have a little pressure moment. The knees on the inside and the elbows on the inside. So kind of play with the pressure there. Keep them pushing each other. 3, breathing. 2, 1. Good. Now sit your booty down. So you might have to help yourself down. Bring your feet about a hip's distance apart in front. Give at least a foot's distance between your booty and your heels. Place your hands in front of your knees. Okay, so sit up tall from here. As if you're coming into mountain pose from here. Slide your hands underneath your knees. Tip your shoulder or your whole entire trunk back. So you're sitting towards the back part of your sitting bones, and now let your feet come up off the ground. So you're going into a little Navasana, easy Navasana. If you can, where you've slipped your hands underneath your knees, if you can, slip them out and still hold that strength from your belly. Okay, so we're pulling in here. We're drawing in here. You want to keep that hinge at your hips. Slide the hands back under. Lift the feet a little higher, maybe to eye level. Bring your ankle bones to touch, your big toes to touch. Inner knees to touch. So now everything's squeezing towards the midline. Point the toes and flex the feet. And do that a couple times and see if you can keep your spine strong, your heart lifted, very much like drawing the shoulders back like we did when we first started our mountain pose today. Same kind of feeling in the upper body. Then keep the feet now neutral, squeezing the inner thighs. Try again, bringing the hands out for Navasana. Breathing consciously here. Letting the breath help support you, holding, even if you're shaking a little bit. Good. And from here, hands to slide underneath the knees, hinge at the knees, bringing the feet down to the floor, separate hips distance, hands in front of the knees, lift and sit up tall. Good. As you take your next breath, hold the heart open, kind of tilt back, shoulders back, look to the sky. As you exhale, round the back. We're going to go round all the way back and pull the knees into your chest. So you're laying all the way back. I'm hoping you guys can see me here. I'm going behind the chair. Here we go. So I'm holding my knees in above the belly, hugging. So kind of pressure again. Thighs to belly, close your eyes, and reduce any effort you have internally. So if you feel like you've been holding your belly a long time, because we have that Navasana pose, let your belly fall back into kind of that inner cavity near your spine. We're going to come back to some ab work here in just a moment. What I want you to do first is just let the back of the body soften towards the earth. And if you want, you can flex and point your feet again, even circle at your ankles a couple times each direction. All right, So take your hands, slide them underneath your booty. So you're going to have your palms facing down, your upper part of your butt, just like sacrum area, just the upper part of your body, your butt on your hands, palms down. You can either keep your legs bent here. So you're going to pull the knees up and away from your belly and bring the knees just above your hip level. It's also called table pose. Or you can straighten your legs so you're in a 90-degree angle. We're going to do one leg at a time. If you need to bend your leg, do so. So lower your right leg, so you're scissoring your legs, right leg only. Flex that heel, and right before you touch down to the earth, point your foot and bring it back up to 90. And do the same, lower your left, flexing your foot. Just before it hits the ground, lift it back up with a point. And go back and forth a couple times with your legs. Now what I want you to do is try to imagine that you're lifting with your belly. Now for me, I get this little thumping catch if I go down too low. So if you get that, try not to go down as low. You want to really feel that inner body helping to support fully the movement. Now, some of you, after doing a couple lifts and lowers, single leg, you can switch to double leg, flex and lower. And again, you don't have to go all the way down. If your belly's not helping you as much as you want it to, just go 3/4 of the way or half the way. So we'll just finish up with, say, 3 to 5 more, flexing as you lower, pointing as you raise. And see if you can really let your belly and your abdominal area help you lift. Keeping the belly sinking back into its cavity as you lower and lift. All right, so from here, take your hands up, off, or out from underneath your hips. Bend your knees back into your belly and separate your knees apart. Okay, same kind of idea. We're going to pull the legs in, but we're going to pull them independently. So the right hand's got the right knee shin, the left hand's got the left knee shin, and you've got a wider space between your knees. So almost like a little happy baby without the feet up to the sky. So that's what we're doing now. Again, let the belly cavity sink back. And you'll notice that you can do that especially on exhalation. So the abdomen is the solar plexus chakra. And this area is specific to our inner identity, our dharma, which is our purpose. It's also the place of our personal power. And when we talked about self-advocacy in the beginning of class, we're also talking about this place inside of our belly. It's not only the gut that's the first place of intuition, but it's our belly that tells us if something feels aligned or if it's not aligned, right? We get that sense, oh gosh, this doesn't make me feel good, or yes, I feel great. It's also the place where we can restore the sense of self as equal. All right, so this is a moment where we're developing that inner trust in our own sense. The body that senses things all around us. So bring your knees back into your belly and then rock yourself like you would on a swing. Rock yourself back up to that first position with the feet on the floor and feet hips distance apart and hands just under your knees. Okay, so you should feel some warmth already here in your belly. Okay, now here, just rock like you would for cat-cow pose. Lift the spine, inhale, exhale, drop the chin around the back. And let this rock come from your pelvis and keep your belly sort of hugged or drawn in as you rock on the pelvis. So really kind of pulse back and forth, hug in the belly, and then stretch it. So do a couple more rocks. And just find where it feels good. Hold that feel good spot for a couple breaths. And then we'll come back to squat pose. So you may need to use your hands to push yourself back up. You can come back to tippy toes, so your heels are slightly off the ground, and that can give your Achilles and your calf muscles a little extra stretch. Sometimes when we put our heels down, it takes the stretch out of the Achilles and puts it more in other places. So just check in, see how it feels. And then perhaps you can bring your feet more hips distance instead of toes wide and do a little tiptoe balance. So you level your thighs and shins, and then you kind of come up on your tippy toes and sit back towards your heels. This isn't easy for everyone, but we're going to do a little test here. So remember, in mountain pose, we draw our shoulders back and we open our palms out. So you can try that one. And then you can also reach up and try to connect the hands above. And let's see if those hands come together proper. If you want, you can equalize them. And then on your next breath out, bring your hands back to the floor in front of you and tip your hips high to the sky. Try to keep your tippy toes pressing and your heels up lifting. And then shake your head out, shake it no, shake it yes. And pushing my fingertips on the floor, and I'm pushing my tippy toes down on the floor. And I'm in a folded position. Now, if your hamstrings don't cooperate, it's okay. Do the best you can with bent knees. On your next exhale, slowly lower with strength and intention, your heels down to the ground. Bend your knees slightly, grab your elbows with your hands and decompress. So get heavy in your upper body. You're going to feel the stretch now coming down the backs of your thighs, down the backs of your hips. Feel that hollowing in the center of your body. Be aware of that navel center and just above. So typically, when we look at our yogic texts, the solar plexus chakra is actually about 4 or 5 inches above the navel. So just under where your rib cage and diaphragm meet. And that is a center point in the body. It's a pulse point in the body. So see if you can bring your awareness there. Soften your knees, relax your arms, and let's slowly roll up. As you roll up, keep your belly button and your inner belly drawing back. Stack the vertebra. Roll the shoulders back before you lift your head. Take a big inhale. And then once again, take your arms all the way up. Do your little check with your hands. See if anything feels different. And then make the correction as you look up. Stretch feet to fingers. And then let's come back to prayer mudra in front of our heart for mountain pose. Perfect. Okay, turning sideways on your mat. Open your legs wide. So we'll get back to the sun salutations a little quicker soon. So we're all warmed up now. Make sure you have a block handy if you like to use them. You may have your block kind of turned up at its highest level. I'm going to turn my right toes out and my left toes slightly in. I want about hips distance between, arms distance between my 2 feet. So if you take your arms out, your palms should be right over your feet.
Okay, so get wide enough in your legs, really get a good side stance position today. Our first side stance position is warrior two. So let's start by watching ourselves bend that right knee. So when you bend that right knee, you want to turn that knee so it's going in the direction of your second toe. Okay, as it turns in the direction of your second toe, let it stop just above the ankle. Okay, and then what we're feeling here on our inner groins is we're feeling this kind of movement back away from the midline. Then reconnect to the center and the core. Your arms are floating. Look down your right fingertips. And if it feels good to widen or come down a little lower, I like to send my left heel open and out a little bit more to get that deeper sink into the pose. Now, even though I'm sinking deeper, I want to still respect those inner groins because they have to work hard to grip inward towards the midline of the body. So feel that power. Draw those shoulders to squeeze on your upper back. And then use your next breath to fill space, creating a nice long spine, buoyancy in your body here. Reversing the warrior, taking your left hand back behind you, taking your right arm up to the sky, just straight up. So we're not going to fully arch back just yet. Sink in a little deeper, be aware of that right knee. Take 2 or 3 breaths, lengthening up the front of your body. And on your next exhale, go ahead and lean it back. Slide that left hand down the back leg and maybe even look back at the back leg. Beautiful. Dancing warrior coming through the 2 and then bringing your right forearm onto your right thigh and your left arm straight up to the sky this time. So this is first easy side angle pose where you're kind of just hanging out. So give some rest so you can expand through your chest. And then maybe as you look up towards your left hand, you can feel that pressure to the outer edge of your left foot. Yeah, so again, right inner groin might be really working hard. If you want to go to the next stage, left arm extends overhead, right hand might come to the block. So then stretch and create as much space as you can from here. Grow from that center out to your periphery. Awesome. And then on your next breath in, we'll come up. So you're going to press down through your feet, reach back through warrior 2, and exhale, relax your arms and straighten your right leg. Beautiful. Other side. So this is kind of the medicinal part of our standing poses is when we go slow enough to feel where we are in space, when we start to move faster, your body will remember that alignment. And then you automatically get into those poses without having to work as hard. So here we are getting ready for our flow practice where we're going to see these all come back together for us. So check the feet. It's about 1 leg's distance between your feet, okay, or where your arms are just above your legs. And then we're actually, our back foot, our right foot in this case, the toes turn slightly in. So the outer edge of your right foot is even with that edge of your mat behind you. And we'll start with our hips level. So there's a tendency for us to maybe sink one hip in. So try to keep your hips level so that when you do bend that left knee, notice what it wants to do. It wants to kind of turn inward. So open that left knee outward. As you open the left knee outward as you bend, that right hip is going to have to come forward to support it slightly. So you may first feel that the pelvis actually slightly turns to get you into the position proper. But then as you hold the position, you want to feel those thighs externally rotating and opening. Reconnect to the center. Float the arms. Once that left knee is in position and the back leg feels nice and strong, you can always dig in a little deeper. Okay, looking down your left fingertips, that proud, strong, fierce warrior two, dedicated Virabhadrasana. Dedicated to a sage that comes through to the other side. You know, this is a big self-advocacy pose too, right? I am that warrior. I am the one that can stand strong. You know, it's not really a fight. It's just something we do to support ourselves. As we equalize here, take a big breath, let it come up through the crown on your inhalation, down through the sitting bones on your exhalation. Just feel it. And then on your next breath, take your right hand back, left arm to the sky. So just straight up. I know the legs are shaking at this point. You guys are doing great. So reach, pull up and out of that left hip bone as if you're going to touch the ceiling above you. Give it 2 more breaths. Let yourself build this deeper endurance and deeper strength, this resilience. Good, and then on your next exhale, let it arch back. Turn your gaze towards your back foot. Let that open and feel good. Reverse warrior. On your inhale, back through warrior two. Support yourself with a little teeny rest. Left forearm, left thigh. Right arm overhead. I've got a wet mat on this end. All right, right arm straight up to the sky. Let your left forearm sink into your thigh. So you have that support. If you have to widen your stance, do that by adjusting your back heel. So open your back heel out a little further. Good, your block should be handy there for you to come to when you're ready. If you're ready, left hand there and right arm overhead. Start to spiral your heart towards the sky. So you're not letting your chest turn towards the floor. Keep your tailbone angled slightly downward. Okay, so you can kind of feel the front of your pelvis open up. So from here, you're getting that big stretch all the way from the edge of your right foot to the tippy tips. Yes. And this is where it might get fierce on our way back up when we're a little tired. Take a breath or two and gauge your inner resilience and use it as you inhale. Come back through warrior two, strong. And exhale, release your arms. Turn your toes to face forward. And keep your arms relaxed here. Grab your hips. Turn your toes slightly in. So now both feet, same, parallel on the outside. Toes slightly turned in. Pause and just lean to the toes, to the heels. Lean to the right, lean to the left. Lift your toes up, set them back down. And so just notice that weight on your feet and then see if you can adapt it even deeper. That spreading of your weight through your feet as you become aware of your pelvis, front and back, side to side, feeling the sitting bones as an extension of the spine that keeps growing roots down into the earth. And place your hands on your belly. One hand at the navel, one hand at that solar plexus center. See how this area right here supports your center. So this engagement of your inner body, inner belly is this upliftment that actually rebounds energy up from the floor into your body. Good, and let's from here reach the arms like a big X marks the spot and start to pull out of the feet, out of the hips, out of the spine so you feel like you're becoming this huge, bright, shining star. Fingertips spread, crown of the head lengthens. So you feel like, wow, I'm pulling up and raising away from the earth. And then let's make a big rainbow overhead. You can take your hands above you and stretch them all the way around like a big arch over you, and then take your hands down. Walk your feet in towards each other. Come back to standing. This is going to be your hopefully redeeming moment. We'll take our palms to face forward, feet at hips distance, Notice all the strength you've gathered in your legs. All the energy we've created in our belly from our abdominal warm-ups. And then let's take our arms overhead and see if the palms come together where they're supposed to. And if they still didn't, it's okay. You're gonna look up, stretch up, and then bring the palms back to heart center. Awesome. Okay, very good. We're moving on to our sun salutation. Let's do C series today. So we'll go easy. And of course, all of it, since we just did our side movements on our mat, all of our C series salutations are forward on our mat, right? They're forward stance positions. I'm actually going to turn in a different direction. So hopefully you guys will be able to see me good. All right, so you're going to come to the front of your mat again. Bring your palms together. We'll go slow 2 rounds of C series, and then I'll let you kind of go several on your own. So we'll begin with our inhalation. Open the palms from the heart. Remember, this is our prayer. We're reaching up. I'm turned east side. That's why I wanted to go this way. Eastern is the direction of the sun. Exhale, fold in half, touch down. Hands to the floor next to your feet. Fold your face in towards your kneecaps. Slide your right leg back. So you want it as far back as you can so you can lunge down, high or low. So your knee can go down or it can stay up. Hold this breath, come to plank position. It's just a moment before you lower knees, chest and chin, Ashtanga Pranam. Inhale to the belly, sweep the heart forward, cobra pose. Exhale, curl the toes under, downward facing dog. So for our first down dog today, let's just take 5 breaths. So perhaps after all we've done so far today, you come into down dog and it's a little different. Maybe something's open that wasn't before, looser or tighter. Just notice. Give a big breath to the whole down dog all at once. Really energize it. And then look where you want your right foot to land. You may need to set your left knee down, bring your right foot forward for high lunge or low lunge. So high is the knee up, low is the knee down. We're still sinking the hips, kind of giving the heart a little lift. Step the feet together. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Reach to the sky, honoring this precious day. And exhale, hands to heart center. Take a breath or two, pause. Really enjoy that your heart is pumping now, your body's alive, energy's moving and grooving. Inhale, open the palms from the heart, reach up, look up. Exhale, fold in half. Inhale, take the left leg back first this time for the lunge. Hold the breath, step back the right, pause, plank. Exhale, lower down the knees, chest between the thumbs, tip the chin up so your chin comes in, elbows by the sides. Keep them hugging in those elbows. Squeeze, uncurl the toes, cobra pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. This time, just pause for 2 breaths. Lefties turn to come forward. Inhale, left foot to the front, lunge. Step the feet together, front of the mat, fold in tightly. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead, reach up. Exhale, bring all that sunlight back to your heart. Renewed and refreshed. Let's do one more together. Just focus on breath. Inhale, up. Exhale, fold, touch down. Inhale, right leg back. Hold the breath, plank. Exhale, lower, knees, chest, chin.
Inhale, deep sweep. Bhujangasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, right forward, lunging. Exhale, step together, fold. Inhale, reach all the way to sky. Exhale, hands to heart.
So take 3 more. Keep flowing on your own. If you want to add anything to this, if you want to add some of those warriors we just did, feel free. I'm going to watch. So if you want to if you want me to give you some feedback, you'll have to put your video on. So allow yourself to flow through at your own pace. As you're flowing, I have another little poem to read you. We breathe. Exhale this sky full of stars, pregnant with moon. Trace the constellations in the shape of our revelation for tomorrow. This tomorrow has no name, but we are calling her forth. This tomorrow is not the same as yesterday, but she is as ancient as the world. We are ready for light. We are ready to live, ready to hold each other against the rim of existence. Because they who build concrete against the corners of our hearts need to feel our resistance like a million dandelions cracking sidewalks apart. Reminding your runaway child, there is no place that love cannot find you. We are ready for light. We are ready to live, ready to hold each other against the rim of existence. Because they who build concrete against the corners of our hearts need to feel our resistance like a million dandelions cracking sidewalks apart, reminding your runaway child there is no place that love cannot find you. There is no place that love cannot find you. So keeping that flow going, that breath flowing, riding the waves of energy, body, mind, heart alignment, deep alignment with that solar plexus. Many of you starting your 3rd round now. If you're a little bit faster or slower, it's okay. Maybe get in another extra. And of course, at one point here, when you feel complete with your sun salutation rounds, we'll find ourselves together again at the front of our mat in mountain pose. So there's no rush at all to get there if you still have one more side to do. So we'll take a slow flow salutation or two
to give ourselves a little bit more arm work. So we've done a lot of belly work, we've done a lot of leg work, and now comes some arm work. Okay, so from where you are in mountain pose, we'll take the inhalation from here, open the palms from the heart and reach up. Check and see as those palms come together, evenness. Exhale, fold in half. Fold completely. Turn the toes out, inhale, come up halfway lift. I say turn the toes out, it's gonna feel weird. You're like a ballet dancer in second position. All right, keep your fingers where they are, bend your knees and pop a squat. Okay, this time your knees are wide. We're gonna come back to that tiptoe balance. So just feeling what it's like to have your legs wide, kind of in a V shape on your tippy toes, getting a little bit more hip opening so we can get into the next shapes. Good, fingertips in front and through. Walk your hands out in front of you so you can get your knees to pop up onto your upper arms. We're gonna start with a little bakasana. And that bakasana is coming from that wide knee position. But what you're doing is just like what we did before when we had our elbows in by our knees, you're going to have your knees in a little higher than your elbows, kind of on your upper arms, as close as you can to your shoulders as possible. And then again, you're going to squeeze your knees against your arms. And you want to squeeze hard. As you do, keep your elbows bent, keep your booty buoyant, and then push off your toes, keeping your gaze up. So here we're forming a shelf for our bakasana. Now this is a wider bakasana than most people take, so it may feel a little different. We're doing this differently on purpose because it's fun to change things up. So wide knees, elbows bent, playing with getting those tippy toes to come off the ground. If they don't, just kind of play with pushing off, feeling some weight on your hands, pushing into your fingertips, and lifting into your belly, lifting into your pelvic floor. Even if you never get those toes off the ground, that's okay. Do one more round. Do remember to keep your head up, because if your head's down, you got an extra, 15, 20 pounds here of pressure kind of working against your buoyancy. So to keep your buoyancy, gaze lift, okay? And then we'll come back down again, this time with the heels on the ground. Take your right arm inside your right knee thigh. Here, I'll turn this way. Right arm, right knee thigh. So these guys are pushing up against each other, and I'm going to open my chest out to the left. So you can look. So we're getting a twist here. I'm keeping my feet connected. If you want, you can take your right arm that would normally go out, bring it to your right hand to your left ankle. Grab it, slide your right shoulder down a little further, right? So now I'm leaning way out away from my left hip, and I'm keeping my feet anchored. Yes, it's a big one. And if you want, you can stretch it even further overhead, big side stretch. Breathe in, breathe out. Oh, that feels good. Oh. So the rib cage opens, the chest circles up to the sky. Exhale, let's change sides. So now the left arm comes to the inside. I'm still pulling up and out of my belly and my hips this whole time. I may at first have my hand way out in front. As I rotate, this is our traditional way of doing this pose, right? But as I slide my shoulder down a little lower, I can reach and grab with my left hand, my right ankle. Pull, and get that grip and pull back, and then look up. And that's going to give you that leverage to open that entire right side body. Woo. And then maybe stretch a little further. This is one of my new favorites. I'm always making up poses, and please, you should too, because that's how the yogis did it, 5,000-10,000 years ago. Awesome. Our body is our canvas. Come back to center, everyone.
Pause. And now we're going to go again into forward bend. This time as we go into forward bend, we're going to go wider. So take your feet, not as wide as when we were in our side stance positions, maybe half the distance. It's about 2 feet between. Now come into a fold from here. This should feel really good on the back. You can always do this with the knees bent. I'm going to lose my little necklace here. A new mall. So crown of the head moves down towards the floor. See if you can again do the stand hand version or interlock your index fingers around your big toes, index and middle. So you can do what we call the yogi grab, which is holding your toes, right? You push your feet down and pull and lengthen out your arms. So it's a very powerful bound pose or binding pose. You can do that and bend the elbows out and get the head towards the ground, or do the version where we slipped our hands completely underneath the feet. This is great for wrist release, especially after that bakasana. And you just sort of push those toes right into the crease of your wrists and pull gently, rounding the back, chin to chest. So both options are great. Try them both out. And then soften your efforts. Maybe grab your block here. We're going to do a little, before we go into our next shoulder arm balance. Let's grab our block. You're going to place it at least 6 inches above your toes, but center. Okay. Maybe your block has to be here at the highest. So I'm going to again lean forward and back over my feet and heels and find where that middle place is. I can lift my toes up and then set them back down. Feel all 4 corners of the feet. Some of you may even want to widen your stance, but this is a good place to begin. So right hand's going to stay center on your block. Left arm is going to sweep up. And as you sweep up, try not to take your hips with you. Okay, keep your sacrum level and just do your arms. So let's take the block actually for health and healing. Take the block over towards your right shoulder side and then open up. So it's almost like a little triangle kind of windmill pose. Yeah, nice everyone. And that kind of frees up a little of our upper body. Switch the block over to the left foot side, left hand on the block, and reach the right arm up, keeping that sacrum level. So don't move the hips with it. Keep the hips level. It's all in the upper strength of the body. Good. All right. So from there, set your block aside. Fold in. This time as we fold in here, I'm going to turn to the side again. This time as we fold in, I'm going to fold as close into my body as I can. So I got my feet wider than my hips. I'm going to bring my shoulders in to my inner thighs and knees. So I'm setting you guys up for one of the harder poses, Bhuja Pidasana, which is shoulder pinning pose, AKA I like to call it spider pose. So I'm squeezing my knees against my upper shoulders like we did earlier today. Then I'm going to slide my hands behind my feet. So I'm reaching through between my legs and then back behind my heels. I'm not going to bring my hands flat. I'm going to keep them slightly lifted until I bring my booty down. Once my booty is about the same place as my knee, then I'm going to drop. Now, when I drop, I'm dropping my upper leg, like my middle of my hamstring, onto my elbow. And I'm making a shelf with my elbows. So the moment you keep your arms straight, your legs are going to slide off. So you got to keep your elbows bent here, especially in the beginning. So again, let me show you. I'm going between the legs. I'm squeezing, I'm pinning my shoulders with my knees. I've got my fingers here. Hey, kids will probably love this, right? This is easy for the kiddos. So I've got a little elbow bent. I can bring my foot up, my other foot up.
I can bring them in front to touch. You can pause and rest in Malasana or in standing forward bend. Or step it even back into down dog. So we'll try it one more time. So Bhuja also brings us into Asana, aka firefly pose. So we got a couple different variations. I'm going to turn at an angle so you guys can maybe see a little bit different. I got my feet about 2 feet apart to begin. I bend my knees. I send my whole body through my legs, my whole trunk through my legs. I'm also bringing my arms through. I'm pinning my knees against my shoulders. I'm going to hang my head at first. I'm going to feel the strength in my legs. Now I'm going to feel the strength in my arms. Because my arms, when I bend down, my elbows have to connect to the backs of my upper legs, hamstrings. Then I'm going to look forward. I'm going to push into my hands as I take my feet up. Okay. And there's all kinds of different ways to do that. But even if you just get a little bit into the hands, you begin to feel that upper body strength building. All right. Let's finish this off with the rest of our flow. Are you guys ready? Okay. So standing back into forward fold. Shake the head no, shake the head yes. Take the right leg back to high lunge. And just do a couple little lower lifts with the knee. So you pull back through the heel and then you drop the knee forward, keeping the heart up. And that's opening up the front of the thighs, building into the belly again. Arms are helping to support. So now the whole body's helping us. Coming into plank pose, flatten the hands to the ground, step back, squeeze the buns, lift the heart, lower the knees, and just, again, a little arm work, elbows bend in towards your ribs, and then straighten back up. So I'm keeping that plank feel in my upper body. As I lower my elbows, maybe 2 inches, I'm drawing my shoulders back. So I'm retracting my shoulders on my upper back. So do that a couple times more, and then lower all the way down. Inhale, cobra, no hands. Squeeze those shoulder blades back. Open the palms. Tap the tops of your feet down a couple times, like you're swimming. Good. We'll just call this the water snake pose. Good. Hands to the floor, push up and back, downward facing dog. Breathing in and breathing out. Right foot comes forward now. Pulling back through the left heel. Tilting the heart up. Again, bending the knee down. Left leg this time, stretching the heel back. And you want to feel it across the front of the thigh. This is our last little sequence before we go into our third quadrant. We're going to get into some pigeon poses today to release the back. Lift the heart. Pull back through the left leg. Heels stretching. Bend the knee. Drop it in. Same. Last one. Flex and lift. Press. Step the feet together, front of your mat. Fold in. I thought we were going to do a couple, but I think we're done here. Inhale, reach all the way up. We'll use our last salutation to close it off here in prayer. All right, well, since we had some work we did on our hands and wrists, let's just take a moment to learn a few little techniques to get the hands and the wrists to release. So let's come down. Fold your right leg in and under, and just keep your left foot
on the ground with the knee bent. And take your right hand, right wrist, slide it underneath the crease of your knee and pin it, squeeze it. Okay, now your right fingers are still free. You're pinning at your wrist. You want to squeeze the back of your knee into your wrist. And then again, imagine you're going to pull your arm out from under. Just do it a little bit. Don't do it hard, just enough to feel that decompression. Good. And then release, change sides. Left leg folds, right knee bends. Left hand slides underneath. Remember, those fingers are free. So we're pinning right at the wrists. I'm going to do this gently. So I'm squeezing. So I'm going to use that muscle at the back of my knee to squeeze. And then I'm going to try to pull that arm out just gently. And keep wiggling your fingers. Good. So that's one way to wrist release. Another way, let's take that right leg straight, keeping the left leg in, is to use our opposite hand to sheath roll. So sheath rolling is a massage technique we use. Instead of going long on the bone at the joint, you go lengthwise. So I'm going to use my thumb and my fingers to roll the muscle of my forearm internally and externally. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going up and down, but I'm mostly concentrating at the wrist because that's where a lot of our arm balancing kind of gets stuck. We try to do all our arm balancing at our wrist. So, and this is the smallest place, a meeting place. Okay, so massaging that and doing the other side. So left hand massages the right wrist and I'm sheath rolling. Get a little closer here. So I'm massaging my forearm across all those muscles. And well, there's really not a ton. There's two different major muscles here. And then we have lots of fibrous connective tissue, tendons. Okay, so, and ligaments. So massaging across the musculature helps to loosen things up, that fascia, loosening it up so it can get relief. And then the wrists. And then you can also go into your hands, massaging your hands. You can take your hands interlock and just do little figure 8 shapes with your hands. And then of course, try to figure 8 in the other direction. That's hard. All right, good. All right, perfect. Let's go into our hip opening sequence. We are right on time, I think. Let's see. Yes. All right. So let's come on to all fours briefly. I know we just released our hands, so I want to make sure you don't spend too much time on all fours. Just slide the right knee forward to the right thumb side. Slide the left leg straight back. We're going into our pigeon posture. Okay. For any reason, pigeon's too much for you today because we haven't done a ton of hip opening. Just our malasanas, right, and our warriors. So if you find, this is too much, you can grab, a blanket or a block and place it under that forward leg hip, and that'll help to give a little extra padding there. Start with an upright version. So top of your left foot presses, flex into your right foot and really anchor down through that shin. If you can come up, no hands, and play with that same chest opener we did at the beginning of class today. Elbows going to draw in, shoulder blades squeeze back, heart lifts, belly draws in. This is like a steady place. And if you can take your hands above your head and feel that evenness, it's great. Good, so a little more active. Choosing to come into a more resting posture. Come forward onto the forearms, level the hips, close your eyes, and just draw away from your shoulders. Maybe you can place a block under your forehead or a pillow underneath you. We'll be here for about a minute. So smooth, easy breathing.
Let your breaths return to that natural rhythm. To self-advocate sometimes means that we have to adjust or adapt a pose, you know, according to what our body's needing. So that's always something you can do. Another thing that's potent here as we rest in our pigeon pose with the right knee forward is to come back to that awareness of what's happening in the present moment with the eyes closed. The sounds, the smells, the feels, and the tastes. All while being here in your body temple, experiencing the sensations of the pose, where this pose needs the breath, needs your present moment attention. And if there's a way you can take this last couple rounds of breath into more even resting, restful pose, maybe making a pillow with your hands and resting your head down all the way, relaxing your shoulders. Let's really give in to the shape. Let it work its magic on us. Inhaling, walking yourself back up to the upright version. When you're ready, hands to the floor, left toes curl under, slide and lean your weight forward into your hands and forward knee. If it feels right, you can take a plank or a downward facing dog, stretching out, pedaling the feet, maybe sending one or each leg independently up to the sky for a little circle, three-legged dog. And we'll switch sides, coming back to all fours, sliding the left knee forward, right leg back. Start easy and then make your way left foot over to the right hip. Align the top of your right leg to the floor. Reach and even look back so the top of the right foot presses. And then the side's definitely tighter for me. I'm going to play with pushing down through my left shin bone to do a more active version of the pose, drawing my shoulders back, kind of feeling that frontal body open. Whew. A little bit more tightness maybe for you too, I don't know, but whatever's here, embracing that, and then coming forward. So softening into it. Let it be this place where you're bringing all the work we did from class today together. Bowing into that peace and love that we know is underneath the surface of all things. Bowing into the equanimity of taking judgment out of the equation. Self-judgment, judgment of others. Finding that inner clarity, like a still pool that reflects the moonlight of your mind.
And let us come to presence, even lower down, soften more. Coming to the sweetness of the present moment and all the senses that are here, but especially sensing the inner self, the inner landscape, the place in which we are beyond what we see, feel, taste, touch, smell, deep to the inner realms, basking in that. Inhale, press up, walk it back. Take as much time as you need. Slide that front leg or the back leg front forward and lean into your hands. Curl the back toes under, pull up into your inner body to reach back again, maybe down dog, maybe plank, maybe another vinyasa. So just looking to where your body's wanting to play in this last minute or so before we make our way into Shavasana. So you have about, I would say about 3 minutes, maybe 5 to kind of get into your Shavasana place. I'm going to finish off with some free flow, whatever your body's asking for or needing. I'll probably assume most of us will need a child's pose or some sort of happy baby pose. A little twist or tuck laying on the back prior to getting into your full Shavasana resting place. Just allowing the body to unwind and unravel any last bits of tension that may be still lurking. And if you're like me and it feels good to have a little extra cushion behind your head for Shavasana, make sure that cushion doesn't push your head up too much. So make sure you have enough kind of give to your pillow so that your head can remain level. You can also roll up a blanket or place a blanket underneath your head, or take your bolster and place it underneath your knees for a little low back support. Typical Shavasana, we just lie flat with the feet splaying open, arms out along the sides. The Sanskrit term, shav, means corpse. So dead man's pose, really, we want to come into this pose
becoming dead to the world. In other words, this is our reset. This is the moment where we get to absorb all this new energy that we opened. We get to slough and release and let our bodies decompress from whatever needs to go, is ready to release, and for us to be free from that past. And also to rest and let the body just come into equanimity before we go back into the world. So Shavasana is a very, probably the most important pose we have in the practice of asana, because of its elements of surrender, because of its elements of recalibrating and rebalancing. So give yourself these 5-10 minutes
of soothing time. I'm going to share a beautiful song for you during this time. And then I'll welcome you back shortly. We've been hibernating below, growing roots, dreaming of the sun, thirsting for rain. Sprout, crack concrete, overcome the bullets and toxic exhale of a machine built to kill. Rise, like sunshine, shadows our memory of the struggle it took to lift our heads above drowning. Breathe. Exhale the sky full of stars, pregnant with the moon. Trace the constellations in the shape of our revelation. Tomorrow. This tomorrow has no name, but we are calling her forth. This tomorrow is not the same as yesterday, but she is as ancient as the world. We are ready for light. We are ready to live, ready to hold each other against the rim of existence. As they who build concrete against the corners of our hearts need to feel our resistance, like a million dandelions cracking sidewalks. Reminding your runaway child, there is no place that love cannot find you. So it is here that we wake to our beautiful existence of peace and love that resides within, the peace and love that we're all here to know and experience and feel for ourselves. The peace and love that we are reminding each other that we have, that's there. And as you breathe in and as you breathe out, it's as if you're reclaiming this care practice of returning to that peace and love for your source of strength and resilience through any times. Let us begin to wiggle our fingers and toes. To feel our breath from deep below to the surface of our skin. And from our skin, the breath flows beyond our bodies into the field around us, into the space that we're in, and into the hearts of our loved ones, and into our prayers, returning back to our spirit guides and our ancestors, to our children and their children. And when you're ready, making your way onto your side, curling up for a few moments just to be in that place between. Inviting this practice to stay with you as you go into your world and as you go into your life. As you meet with your own actions, your own heart song, the people and places that you're in. So rolling up to a seated position. Find your seat. Sit tall. We ground ourselves to this earth that we are on. We open our hearts to the life we are living. We extend our thoughts to the highest realm where spirit and peace and love meet with our own energy. and connect us to and back to our hearts and to our earth. And take a breath with that connection upwards and downwards through the central channel of our spine. We feel that oneness with all of creation, our completeness, our enoughness in this moment. And we invite ourselves to stay attuned in this way throughout our week, throughout today, and build on it. Let's bring our palms together at heart center. We bow to each other. We honor the divine light that guided us here today, that guides us back to ourselves and our light. We honor the light that's in all beings. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy. May all beings everywhere be peaceful. May all beings everywhere know the light of their true nature and live from it. May we be free. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace to all, love to all, light to all. Namaste. Thank you for being here with me today.